Welcome everybody to another DeFi Raiders AMA. We're excited to be here with Chorus and Valea from Valea Finance, who are launching a new DEX on zk Sync that's going to take the best of Thena and Chronos with a few new twists that we'll hear about shortly. And we also have some whitelists to give away later. So yeah, Chorus, Valea, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to everybody in the audience for coming. Yeah, welcome.
Okay. Hey guys, we are super excited to talk to all of you. Thanks so much for joining the AMA. We really appreciate your time. So, firstly, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I am one of the founders of Valea Finance. I've been in crypto like 5 years ago. I started investing as a retail investor. I started investing just by speculating and making quick money, and definitely ended falling in love with the crypto ecosystem and DeFi ecosystem. My first investments were in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, and I became very interested in Ethereum and all ecosystem they were trying to create in that moment. And that's where I started using Uniswap and other protocols on DeFi. I kept speculating and learning more about DeFi world until one day I got the Uniswap airdrop. As time went by, I tried other protocols such as CurveDAO or SushiSwap or Aave. I was also in the launches of PancakeSwap and other protocols on different blockchains. And for the last year, I have been investing in many DeFi protocols, adding liquidity, and I have also invested in privileges or different DeFi ecosystem and DeFi protocols in different blockchains. And that's it.
Okay, so I will make a quick resume of my part. I mean, I joined crypto, I think, late, as I see it. I joined the last 3 years, so I really liked if I would find this world sooner. But as my part, I'm the chief of technology in Valea. I'm more of a technology guy. I mean, I work in the industry before finding crypto. I moved in lots of sectors. Actually, I started as I started as a system management. I made some development. I got bored. I got a degree in computing and data science, and then find crypto. So yeah, right now I meet these guys. We decided to make they had an interesting idea, and since I had the freedom to be the one making the technology decisions, here we are in general. So I don't know if I should just make a brief introduction of Valea, or you have any questions before that.
I was going to ask, and thank you so much for the introductions about yourselves. That was going to be my first question, and then my next one is, how did you all meet? Is there anybody else on the team? How did you all meet, and what led you to decide to build Valea? And then we'll get into to more about what Valea is and the technical stuff.
Yeah. Well, we have two more people. One of them is his part is the branding of Valea, design and branding, and the other one is he has a profile quite similar to Valea, this guy, but it's more of the relations of and closing the deals of the company more than the communication part, I would say. And of how we meet, it was a crypto event in a city, and we were there. I met him there. We started talking. It wasn't about Valea; it was in general. So he knew I moved as a tech guy. I mean, in developing things, I knew he was more of the legend part, to say in this way. I mean, he know how to move and where and how the crypto world works really well. In my case, it was more technical. I mean, I know every bit of Ethereum how it works, but I'm not that in the money part. So it came in a time when I was really thinking like, how should I start a project? Or because I'm good at developing, really good, but I lacked that part of just moving the whole project. So when they came, he knew I was good at it, and he called me for a coffee and proposed the project. I like it, and it was like I have the freedom to really create things. I'm quite restrained, but we'll start to add my crazy ideas in the next versions of the decks right now. So yeah, in general, it was just a crypto event, a small event. It was like 12 people in the city, just by people trying to talk about this world as you would as I suppose you know that if you want to meet people in real life, it's quite hard. So when you meet them, you just keep them close. So that's kind of the introduction of how we started as my part.
Yeah, that's a great story. Thank you. And it's right. It's very rare for teams to meet in real life, but great way to start out. So what? So now why a solidly fork? I guess is the starting question, and then more from there.
Yeah, well, I will tell you this part, the initial, as how I see it. As I told you, I was in my case, I was my best point isn't the economics part of crypto, but I noticed that one thing of that I noticed is that in the big exchanges, like you don't really have a big incentive to really deposit or make some money. I mean, the idea that everyone sells is that DEX, decentralized finance, yeah, you have freedom, the freedom that banks don't give you, the money that you deposit in a bank, in in a DEX, you have you get the benefit and things like that. But the truth is if you look at a big exchange or a big DEX, in general, you have more risks than rewards. I mean, you have to be a full economist, I would say, to make a really decent benefits by providing some liquidity to pools, because in majority of the cases, the rewards you get, I mean, you first you lock your money and you don't know if the price will change. So if the price goes wrong, you are already losing money. But also the tokens you get that are created literally, like people is criticizing the normal money, and it's pushed this idea that you use a liquidity pool, you provide liquidity, and afterwards you get some tokens that you are need to rush to sell them to be to gain something. And we saw that at least the Solidly idea tries to change that part, to remove the part of selling the tokens as soon as you get them, to give some more practical use to them. It's true that, well, it's it started great. There are projects that are already showing how it still have problem, but well, that's what we're trying to do, to use the solidity that is already a nice idea of how to reduce the risks of normal dexes, and also at our own changes of how to improve that. So you aren't the moment you use a liquidity pool, you aren't focused on selling the tokens as far as you get them, because you know that the next day it will reduce the price. So in general, I think that's the idea of what we are trying to do with Valea, and why it's a fork from Solidly, since it addresses already a issue that the normal dexes have.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think it's been proven pretty well that the only way liquidity providing makes sense is with some sort of incentive. And right, it's so nice to have the potential for sustainable ones. Are you worried about the competitive impact of Uni v3 and potentially now Trader Joe liquidity book forks?
Can you repeat the first one, please?
Of Uni v3 or of Trader Joe liquidity book style dexes and their greater capital efficiency.
Yeah, well, at the beginning, we are not that afraid of that part. I mean, as we see in Zk Sync, it's just starting. So I think there are lots of opportunities, as well as we're trying to make some systems to avoid the general ideas that people have when using a DEX. So I well I don't think it will impact us that bad in the beginning, and we already have after developing these months, these projects, we already have some projects that we really want to add to the DEX. I mean, we started the idea initially as a DEX, but as we are developing and doing now new things, we're seeing that at least in this network there are lots of things that are lacking, and we're trying to add them to the DEX. So it's I don't think we'll have in the long term the problems of a normal DEX, since I think we'll really shift to a more global product, since we saw that for example in Zk Sync you have Oracle problems, you have majority of the DEXs majority of the marketplaces, for example, aren't really centralized. I mean, it's horrible in general to say. So while developing, we saw a lot of issues that if we address them in our second version and add them to a DEX, I think it will shift a bit, and it will improve in general the ecosystem. I don't know if that answered exactly the question, but
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. Um, would you like to talk a little more about, or you mentioned Oracle problems? What does the Solidly in particular do to help with that one? That's a one we've seen many Oracle related exploits over the years, whether from poor implementation or manipulation of things without enough price feeds.
where well, the first part, I think the worst problem right now, as I have seen it in ZK Sync, is that it doesn't have a really solid oracle. It's not that much of the prices; it's more of the lack of them. So that's the first problem. I mean, while I was developing the decks and checking for initially what to use, we wanted to use Chainlink as it's a reference in Ethereum, but they have some docs but aren't officially deployed to use them. And not only that, I mean, we don't have exactly the problems of oracles in a way that it affects a general trading dex, since in the liquidity pools area you don't use that much of a dex, you only use them on the exchange. But as far as user concerns, when you're trading just pairs of tokens, it doesn't affect you, because the price it's regulated itself by shit, I forgot the name. Scrapping? No, what's the name? The people that just buys at different price in one dex and sells in another. I don't
Oh,
know
by
exactly.
arbitrageurs, yeah.
No, that's all. Yeah, I think they solved the prices, the price problem in at least our type of desk, since in general the things that will affect the user in our case is the trading price between pools, but that as the formulas are generated, you don't really care how that shifts, because there will be always an arbitrage incentive, so the price will get regulated. The Oracle price exploits, as you see it, it's more problematic when you are already, how to say it, you are making more an order book DEX, I would say. There you have a problem, a really big problem of the security of oracles. But in our case, since we're doing it in a pool style, I don't think we'll have that problem as much. The network will have that problem, but for us at least, initially won't be one of them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So perfect segue. So, why did you guys choose ZK Sync? From my limited experience, it has been rug central since it launched, and volume seems to have gone there to suck up the airdrop, or to attempt to suck up the airdrop, right, and then trailed off pretty rapidly.
Well, I will give you my personal experience. At least when you are interacting with, maybe it's not seen in the user interface when you are using an app that's already developed, but I don't think there are really solid application using Zkasync. But as my part from the technological part, it's really fast. I mean, it's true that the docs for development are, well, they can be improved, but the technological part, when you submit a transaction, a poor technology, I mean, really low key transaction, it goes really fast, and the fees, it's true that they're really low. So if you add that to the part that it's on, it has the security of Ethereum, but with the reduced fees, and it's work fast. I mean, for me, it's already enough incentive to do it. And I think that the majority of the problems it has is that the developments aren't using in general the potential it has. But I kind of get it, since when I started doing some tests on the network, I mean, I had to dive into the code of the nodes to be able to use them, because the documentation, the official documentation, it was quite poor. I mean, they will improve it, but, and also we saw that the initial funding that this network had, it's a lot bigger than the one, for example, of Arbitrum. And look how it improved. So we are taking the early investor, to say in this way, I think, in this part.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? They did raise an absolute ton. Have you been able to connect with the ZK Sync team, and do they provide any sort of support for new projects as you're trying to integrate?
Well, we didn't directly contact with them initially, because right now we don't have the DEX deployed. So a lot of the times you have, when you're developing something, people ask you for the code. It's ask you already for the working version. So right now we don't have exactly the mainnet version, and sending the code, I mean, we don't have exactly anything to ask them. Majority of cases, it's just a developer is doing something and it's different from Ethereum. So you're just looking at the docs, at the forms of how to solve this problem, but it's not really a problem of yeah, we need to know how to use exactly this node, or it's not something like that. So originally we didn't have a need to contact with them. We'll be contacting in the future, probably, since as I told you, we will want to make a more general application, but right now we don't have that need to contact with them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now let's move on to the specifics of the DEX. I know you're taking a couple of steps to combat mercenary liquidity, and it seems like you guys have thought a good bit about how to make to align incentives, as well as as much as possible, between liquidity providers and and the team ultimately. So tell us more about this. How will this work?
Yeah, well, the maths of them, it's quite a headache. I won't lie, but well, the first thing, it at the beginning we started with one system that we thought at the moment that will work. So instead of using the general NFT that it uses just I mean, it generates the money at the beginning, and then you use that to create the initial pools, and that's all. We're going to use the initial pools that the initial NFTs that people are going to mint. So apart from giving them quite the passive income, I guess, from the royalty fees and etc. But the idea of those NFTs is that when someone locks a position in one of the pools, it will have the chance to skip an amount of cycles of epoch, depending on how you like to call it. So if by definition the solidly idea works, well, it's not exactly a solidly idea. I think it was Thena and Kronos who adapted them first. You lock your position, and after 8, well, in our case it's 8. In there, I think it's 5 or 6. I'm not sure. Well, after an amount of epoch, in this case weeks, your APR just increases each week. So you keep the people. Well, you give an incentive to the people to keep them to keep the liquidity in the pool, since you'll be generating greater returns. But in our case, we wanted to make it a bit more interesting, so the initial NFTs aren't exactly removed of the game, and we choose so that each NFT, there will be 3 different tiers, and each of them will be able to skip an amount of those epoch. In this right now, it's diamond. I think it's 4 epoch. So if you need, for example, if you are starting with 20% APR and you have a diamond tier, so the money you lock, it will increase. You will start already with at the 4th epoch. In this case, it will be, for example, 20%. The maximum it will be 40, and as a diamond, you will start at 30 already. As for, well, each tier, the numbers are explained in the white paper, but the idea is that those NFTs will boost the initial cycles, so you don't have to start from the beginning. And we think that this will give some movement to the NFT marketplace as well. And since this, well, the holders will get well, initially it was 100%, but we'll reduce it to 80. I will explain right now why. But since we have these mechanics where people will want those NFTs to get an increased APR from the beginning, so the market will move quite a bit, and the holders, since they're receiving the royalties, will get their income as well upgraded. And well, I'm doing the maths on this part as well. We are also looking of how to, I mean, to avoid people just using an NFT and directly boosting each single position. So that's why we reduce it to 1. And I don't know the exact numbers right now, but we are looking to place something like a cooldown on each boost you use. So you won't have someone that just buys the whole diamond NFTs, and it's the first week just farms the whole return and leaves. So it will be something like, if you boost your first, for example, with a diamond NFT, you start already with 30%, but if you don't keep an amount of weeks, that liquidity, that NFT won't be able to boost something in the following weeks. So we'll make it fair, so the normal liquidity provider as well won't be like destroyed by NFTs. And also we have seen the effects that Solidly had with the token prices. So we gave it a thought, and since we saw that we still can change the mechanics, we decided that we'll use a part of the money to just it will be 20%. I'm not don't look on the numbers, please. But initially the thinking we are giving is that 20% of the royalties from the NFTs will be one, and the second part will come from the DEX trading fees. It will be initially at 20% as well. It will be reduced. No, it will increase by 5% after two months, and those two source of revenue will be used to buy the token and just burn the token. So in this way, I think we will also be able to keep the price without dropping. It will change after we will change in the DEX fees amount after 2 weeks. It will we will increase the amount that the liquidity providers get, and also the amount that will be used to burn. But we think with this new mechanic of using part of the money generated by the NFTs and the DEX, and by burning that token, we will be able to keep the price alive. And in general, I think we started with a general Solidly idea, but we changed it quite a bit. But I really think we can in this way keep the whole elements of the DEX alive, not only the voting system. Or in this way, I think we can have the price of the NFTs, the token, and also the rewards of the DEX with quite good prices.
Yeah, very cool. And nice that you're openly thinking about that. I think it's a bit of a cop out to say we don't care about price, because ultimately if the price goes down too far too fast, everybody leaves.
Yeah, well, as I told you at the beginning, you have we don't like that idea that you provide liquidity and you have to check it every single day or every single week, so you have to sell it fast because you really know that it will disappear the following day, because everyone is just selling. So it's really inflationary idea, so we really try to avoid. And since we saw that the projects that deployed the past weeks or months didn't achieve it, well, we came with this idea to do it. And I really think that in the long term we maybe reach a point where we'll make it even go higher than we expected, the price of the token. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I certainly I expect DEX fees are likely to trend upwards over time.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, it will reach a point where, since the amount of released token will be decreasing, and the percentage of the fees that will be used to burn the token will just will be the same percentage. Well, I don't know if, as I told you, we are just developing this part, so I don't know if it will be fixed forever. But we really think it will be it will be there. So I'm really hoping, and I'm quite seeing in my mind a day where the prices just start going up, because you have the token being burned, but it's not created in that fast way. So
Yeah, that'll be exciting, right? We're still waiting to see one of those that gets to the point where it actually burns enough to to meaningfully cut into supply. I guess it's been done a couple times.
well, in a DEX, I mean, I have seen it done by the community, that you can see in a forum they choose to do it. But well, if it was done by exactly a DEX, I will have to study to see what didn't didn't work to change it before the launch, but yeah.
And right, I've seen it done by community post decks typically, right? Using a burn token, but yeah. So so I
But
guess why don't we talk? Or should we stop and do the giveaway now, or should we save that until the end? Up to you guys.
well, in my case, I really don't care how it's done. I mean, I'll ask Valea if he has the link there. So yeah, we'll be giving 25 whitelist of the people that is here. We'll post it in the chat, and the first people who enters will have the whitelist for it. So let me just check. So yeah, but as far as the changes, I think that those two are the bigger ones that we are making. As far as yeah, here you have the the link Discord that Valea just posted. So if you join using that, you'll get a whitelist once you're inside. And as for you asked the previous question, yeah, I think that those two are our biggest changes that we made to at least in the first version of the deck. Those two are the first big changes that we implement. They're part of the token tiers and boosting each cycle, and the part of burning the token to keep the price alive so it doesn't just go to zero.
Yeah, cool. I look forward to seeing how it works. So so what steps you know, if any, are you guys taking to make users confident that you'll stick around? You know, do you have plans to KYC or docs to partners or anything like that? And you know, and in the same vein, do you have plans for an audit or bug bounties or things of that nature?
Yeah, as that part, well, everything that we will deploy will be audited, so that's for sure. We don't have that problem. As for the bug bounty, yeah, we will use before launching the decks. We'll have a bounty a program, yeah, about bounty program, and well, as well, we'll have obviously all those contracts as well audited by a good company to avoid problems, of course. And as for the KIC, well, we are checking right now yeah, Valea just writing there. We'll have we are checking to do a KIC with a third party company that can assure that we are who we say without completely dexing ourselves, since we have seen how it works in the crypto world. So we want to give that security to the users, but as well keep some of our privacy, to say in this way, without removing the security that it gives. But yeah, also all the contracts before deploying will be publicly made. If people is used to GitHub, you will be able to see them, and of course all the addresses will be public as well. So I think in the security part we'll have it quite covered. We're checking to make the multi-sig as well to manage all the funds. But as I told you, Zk Sync, it recently it lacks. It's at the beginning, so it's normal, but it lacks lots of functionality that the other networks had. So general multi-sig isn't viable. So we will probably have to make our own and just audit those contracts to make sure that it works how it's supposed to.
Well, there's a scary and interesting bit of alpha that that probably most of the projects or all of the projects on ZK Sync don't have multi-sigs, because if they built it, they'd probably have released it, right, or tried to sell it.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, as my part as a developer, it's a headache the multisig part, because at the end it's just a smart contract, and for my part, I try to avoid always having the money in a smart contract as far as possible, because in the smart contract maybe you have the most secure code in the world, but the following months it will appear a glitch that someone will be able to use. That won't happen in your wallet. I mean, at the end of the day, if someone hacks a wallet, it's the end of that network. So it's, I think it will be a bigger problem. But as far as the smart contract, well, any kind of glitch can destroy that multisig at the end of the day. It's more secure as for the, how to say it, as for the security, that you won't have one member just disappear with the money. But as for the technical part, I'm not quite quite a big fan of them, because even the smart contracts, the standards try to implement backwards compatibility, but at the end of the day, you're not 100% sure that a smart contract that you are that you are using that multisig wallet with will work as it should, because when you this I know I'm going more in the tech part here, but when you are developing a smart contract and writing the code, it doesn't work the same way as a normal wallet when you are sending or receiving funds. So a lot of the times, maybe you are using a smart contract with that wallet. I know it's code, but multisig wallet, well, we'll call it wallet. Maybe you are sending or receiving funds with from one application or one smart contract, and it doesn't check one security feature, and that money disappears. And yeah, that's my part as I see it from that. But yeah, I think it needs to appear a better system than a multisig for funds keeping. That's how I see it from my part. But yeah, to help a bit the projects of Zkasync, I must say that there isn't a official wallet in the network, so it's normal to have the funds in a single wallet. In fact, I think it's safer to have the funds there than to have a project that they just say, okay, we have a multi-sig wallet. They deploy the smart contracts. That smart contract doesn't have a proper audit, and then the logs are just destroyed in that multi-sig that looks safer, but actually it isn't.
And that's fascinating. I had never considered the technical risk of a multi-sig, but that makes a lot of sense. So we're trading key man risk for technical risk.
Yeah, well, as I told you, I came from the tech world. So when I first joined this crypto at the beginning, it was, wow, this is insane. But as you keep doing things, you notice that, well, you're changing one thing for another. So that, yeah, but I guess people are really good at selling. So that's how it moves a bit.
Yeah, definitely that. Lot of gambling, a lot of selling, and everybody, please see the chat channel in this room up to the right for the Discord invite link and where to go get whitelist. So good. So yeah, excellent coverage on security. So now let's talk briefly about uh, your fundraise. So so no VCs, as I understand things, and no private sale. Um, Oh, the channel is up top right in this room. If you're on mobile, it's might be somewhere else, but it's literally in this room. There's a chat channel.
You're answering to Brian, or in general? Dejan?
Oh, I was answering the person that had asked where the chat channel was.
Oh, okay. Because you have a different channel. Okay. But I think he was referring to the whitelist address channel that Valea wrote. But yeah, well, if you have, well, now I will let him just talk in the chat with Valea. So, but yeah, as the fundraising, yeah, that's what I was saying about the we will try. Well, we will try. We will do with those initial NFTs. I think we will have enough funding to launch completely the DEX, even the liquidity pools. So in a way, we're really trying to make a system where the benefits that they will get won't disappear after 1 week when everything goes down. So that's why, since those NFTs help us launch the DEX and really do almost everything, since we'll start already with liquidity pools that already have the money. So that's why we were giving those benefits to the NFTs, because at the end of the day, those NFTs will get 80% of the whole royalties. They will also get the part of the fees that the DEX generates. They will get an airdrop of the token, and yeah, well, as well as since we are using the system that helps move those NFTs in the market, it will also increase the value in the long term. So that's our idea. We want to make it like more community driven. So that's why we'll use only those NFTs to help launch the DEX, instead of having a big investor that just controls the DEX the first weeks, destroys everything, and has a gain. But the normal user just stays there with the risk. So we think that using this way, we can avoid a private sale of the token. I mean, we won't have a token sale. We will. It will be just the NFTs to launch DEX. So that's our idea to fund the initial launch.
Oh, very cool. So it seems like you're not even going to take the risk of a partner, providing a bunch of liquidity and dumping on you.
Well, I think with the bribe rewards, we were asked once how to keep the incentives so people keeps using the DEX, but that was long before we had these improvements, as I told you. And well, since Zk Sync it's just starting, there are lots of projects that are just developing and will need liquidity. So we think that the bribe system as well will work really well. And yeah, if you have bribes, you will have people providing liquidity. Also, since we will have a quite big volume of money that comes from the initial sale, we won't need that partner to launch the pools. So yeah, we are trying really to avoid that part. It's not the part of having a how to say it, partnership with other investors. Is more a part of not giving the full control of the DEX in majority part.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So how will you handle whitelisting of gauges?
Yeah, that part I'm not 100% sure of how it will work. It will work with partnership, that's for sure. And well, will now that you ask that part, I will have to improve the visual part of that part of the website. But yeah, in general, we will. It won't be first come first serve, or it won't be anyone that wants to join. It will have a filter, so we don't have only to avoid shitty protocols or coins, so people get scammed. But yeah, we'll have something like a partnership program, I suppose, or just some basic introduction parts where we can filter the protocols and the bribes that came.
Yeah, cool. And do you have any plans to, and okay to say you haven't thought about this, but any plans to potentially decentralize that, given that you're going to have, right, NFT holders, VE NFT holders, and so forth?
Well, it isn't outside of our thoughts to make it. I mean, for example, the initial part we want to get the opinions as much as possible, but we want to launch a stable version of the DEX. We will have, for example, the royalties will let the community choose what they want, what type of royalties they want. But as part of making something like a DAO, I think we will have to make it work initially and then move to a DAO. I think we could work with that part, but we'll have to establish a solid background for it, because looking at how majority of DAOs worked and seeing the security risk, I think if we can have the DEX working in the long term and then adding small changes for it, I mean, it's cool, the idea of full decentralizations, but it doesn't work. You can just give from the beginning full responsibility to people and expect it to don't crash. I mean, the biggest communities that you have, let me point to Reddit, for example, you have lots of freedom to say in a way, but it's not fully decentralized. That lots of DAOs tried and well, they crashed. So we want to see how the DEX works and which parts we can really give the control to the community, and which parts we will need to check ourselves so it doesn't crash. Because you can have the community. Also, we will need to see how we'll let that decision power to the people, because a lot of the times, well, depending of the amount of power you give, you can have really manipulative people that just pays an incredible amount of money and just takes the control. But the initial part is, well, we think since the bribing system and that the holders of the tokens will be the ones that are going to be able to choose with liquidity pools get the biggest APR and things like that. We think for the initial part, it's a good start if we can make it work, and then make a stable system where we can expand from that part.
Yeah, no, I very much agree that, right, decentralization is at best a journey that we're on, but not something that's solved or that's functional until something is quite mature and right and has already ensured alignment of interest and decentralization of the voting mechanism, which are both really hard.
Well, there is an initial problem that people don't think about it. People say, yeah, full decentralization, so everyone makes the decision. Of course, you can. That's the idea of crypto. You have full control over your things, but to have a system, a complete system that is giving service to other people, and have it 100% decentralized. Well, if you check the percentage of people that is losing money in the crypto, I think it's quite a solid argument of why you can't give initially full decentralization.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. So we'll get into some questions from the audience hopefully in just a minute. I have just a couple more quick ones for you. So first one is what's up next? Do you have a timeline yet for at least the sale? I assume we're way too early for a launch timeline. Um, and then do you have any plans for community engagement or or more giveaways, things like that people should be keeping an eye out for?
Yeah, as that part, well, we we'll have to say it two phases. The first phase it will be like this NFT part where we'll try to gain that initial capital to launch the DEX, and the second one will be the DEX. But the idea is that we'll have the following weeks where we'll be launching lots of. We'll be doing more of AMAs, internal ones as well. We'll have collaborations that will make public, and we'll explain in depth lots of the concept like this one, because we have seen that no matter how specific you write the white paper, people still needs an example. So we'll develop that part more. We have a partnership already that will be announcing each. Well, we won't announce it all in one day, but we will have the following weeks where we be starting um, a really good campaign and engagement with the users. We are we are looking also dexes where we can have a collaboration, because we are and communities, because in general we aren't a normal dex, I think, and we can really work with different ones that have different ideas to ours. But yeah, we will be giving white lists and well, OGs, but I think people is more interested in the whitelist role, since it will be a discount in the following events that we'll be doing. But yeah, we if you stay active on our socials and in the Discord, you'll probably get it before the launch. We, as far as the timeline, as you told, I can't say exactly one date, but we're looking something from maybe a month or something like that. So we can have enough engagement.
Yeah, very cool. Lots of things coming up.
Yeah, the for my from the user part it's insane, but from my part it's works daily.
Right. I assume, yeah, both your side and the community side equally busy right now. So cool. Well, does anybody in the audience, would anybody like to come up on stage and ask a question? Otherwise, feel free to chat them at us in the room chat.
Well, if people still thinking, as for that last part, we aren't exactly looking to launch it as fast as possible, since we are really trying to make it in the long term. And for example, we could I mean, just fast phase lots of the things and launch it. But in this way, we were able to just see the problems that arise and make system to overlook them. So uh, I think we are good in that part. And even, well, for us will be a bit of problem, but for the user, even if the NFTs aren't fully sold, it's even, I mean, it's good for the users that got them, because at the end of the day you'll be sharing the fees with the rest of the users. So if for example the amount is reduced, you'll get more fees. So I think it's a win-win for in both cases for the minters. So that's the general idea of why we aren't really, how to say it, scared, no, energetic, I don't know the word exactly, but I mean we aren't yeah, I will use the word scared, but about the thing of doing a really FOMO engagement and to try to sell, because we know we took each cases into account, and I think in both cases the users will benefit. So yeah.
Yeah, very cool. That makes sense. That's I think the right way to approach it, so that you shouldn't need to max out your target fundraise in order to survive, right?
Well, if you need to max, I mean, I think you are doing your calculation a bit bad, because you won't always get it. You might get it maybe the first time, but if you always are doing the calculation for the full capacity, I don't think it will end well in the long term.
Yeah, that it does seem like that's most of the projections I see in DeFi, though. It's, we're going to assume crazy,
Yeah,
crazy volume growth, crazy fee growth.
we'll have millions of sales daily, and that's why we have such a mal fee percentage. So yeah, don't worry. And you see that the following day, all the whole price drops, and the fees it gives you 2 cents for for a trading that you provided.
Yeah, well, cool. I'm excited to see you guys move forward, and I'll keep my eyes out for launch. So do you have any closing remarks, or should we wrap things up?
Well, for our case, that's all. If people have question, they can just join our Discord if they are interested as well, of course. And yeah, we thank you everyone for attending the AMA. I know that people might be shy. I mean, I have seen it in this industry. At the end of the day, this is just an update of the old internet where people just were, I mean, completely anonymous. So I can understand that part. But thank you for uh, thank you for assisting the AMA, and yeah, hope to see you in the project. I think. Well, I think everyone will benefit from it, even if you engage it in a small way or in a big way. So that's from our part.
Yeah, minimally, we all need something to do on ZK Sync every couple of weeks to make sure we get an airdrop, right? So
Yeah. Well, we had it on our Arbitrum. It's time to do it in this network as well. So why not?
yeah, exactly. Well, great. Well, thanks so much, Akoris, for coming, and Valea as well. Everybody, please remember to look in the chat channel, join Valea's Discord, and go into their whitelist channel and get whitelist. And yeah, I've been Dejanic. This has been an AMA with Valea Finance. Thanks everyone for attending, and we'll see you next time.